All right, so ready to jump into some really cool career stuff. We're talking mechanical engineering technicians today, and you guys send in a ton from RoleCatcher. Seriously, it's awesome.
It's really impressive.
Yeah, like having this super in-depth guide, but, and let's be real, who has time to read through all of that?
Right. Exactly.
That's where we come in. We're going to dig through it all, pull out the good stuff. By the end of this, it's like you had a chat with someone who's been doing this for years.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this isn't just like, the classic greasy overalls image.
Yeah, yeah.
We're talking about a field that's changing so fast. It's mixing those hands-on skills with computers, design software, the works.
See, that's what I love about it. And RoleCatcher really gets that they describe these technicians as like the bridge between the big ideas and actually making them real.
I like that, the bridge. It's a great way to put it because you're taking the engineer's concept and saying, okay, but here is how we actually build this thing and make it work.
And speaking of making it work, one thing RoleCatcher made super clear, you got to know CAD software. They even specifically call out
Oh
SolidWorks.
yeah, it's essential. You're not just working with your hands. You need to be fluent in that digital world too. Those drawings, those layouts, they're like the language these technicians use to communicate.
So you're like a translator.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
But instead of different languages, you're translating engineering into real, tangible objects.
And get this isn't a desk job necessarily. RoleCatcher mentioned all kinds of workplaces. You could be in a plant, a lab, maybe even an office.
That's what's so cool about it, right? You need such a broad skill set. Yeah, you're a gearhead, but you're also a problem solver. You got to communicate with everyone. And of course, that core understanding of how things work, the mechanics.
And it doesn't stop there. RoleCatcher talked about always learning, reading whatever's new in the field, going to conferences, even like online forums.
It's crucial because technology changes so fast. Say you're designing something with 3D printing,
Mm.
right? You could hop on a forum, connect with someone on the other side of the world who's doing the same thing, and boom, maybe they share a tip, a shortcut you'd never even thought of.
It's like a global network of problem solvers.
Exactly.
I love it. And all that learning, all those skills, it seems like it really pays off.
Mm.
Because RoleCatcher mentioned that job outlook for mechanical engineering technicians is looking really good, even hinting at some pretty great salaries, which, when you think about it, makes sense.
Totally.
Mm.
Look at how much automation and robotics are growing. Those industries need people who can not only keep up with the tech, but design and build the next generation of it.
So it's clear these mechanical engineering technician folks are in demand, their skills like seriously valuable. But RoleCatcher, they don't just stop there. They get into what it takes to really make it in this career. And it's not all just technical stuff, you know?
It's like, that saying, right? You can be a genius, but if you can't tell anyone your ideas, what's the point? RoleCatcher, they really hit on that. They call it soft skills, like how you communicate, how well you actually listen, be a good team player, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And that makes sense when you think about it. It's all about collaboration, right? You're the
Yeah.
link between the engineers and the people actually putting it all together.
Exactly. You got to talk to everyone on their level. Imagine explaining a design change, something complex, to someone who's used to doing things a certain way. You got to be clear, quick, maybe even a little, diplomatic to make sure everyone's on board.
And RoleCatcher, they also pointed out how important it is to be flexible. Tech is always changing, so you got to roll with it, learn the new software, try new techniques. Basically, be okay when things aren't the same all the time.
Right. Like you master one program, then boom, something newer, faster comes along. The best technicians, they see that as a good thing, an exciting challenge, not something to be scared of.
It's like leveling up in a video game. You got the new skills, the new tools, and the possibilities are endless.
I like that. And speaking of leveling up, RoleCatcher had this really cool breakdown of how your career could actually go, like the whole path. They split it into 4 stages, entry level, junior, mid-level, then senior.
It's like they mapped it out for you. So what do you think about how they describe those stages? What stood out to you?
Well, it's cool how the things you're actually doing change at each level. You might start helping out the more experienced techs, learning the ropes, but as you get better, you get more freedom, tougher projects. Eventually, you might even be the one teaching someone else.
Like an apprenticeship almost, huh?
Yeah, exactly. You learn by doing, then take on more as you improve. And that's where those soft skills we talked about, they become even more important. Well, think about it. As you move up, you might lead a team, manage projects, maybe even present to like the big bosses. You got to know how to talk to people, how to be a leader, to really succeed.
That's a good point. It's like you could start working on one part of a machine and end up designing the whole system someday.
Exactly. And there's so many paths you could take. You could specialize maybe in robotics or those HVAC systems, even go into management. It's really open.
So many choices, right? You could start in one area, like making factory equipment, and end up designing those HVAC systems, like for huge buildings. Talk about options.
And RoleCatcher is all about that. All the different ways you can focus your skills. They had automotive stuff, robotics, even something called materials testing, which, I don't know, it sounds kind of mysterious.
Materials testing, like what even is that?
Okay, so imagine you're the one who figures out how to make a material, I don't know, lighter, but way stronger. Or maybe you can handle crazy high heat.
Okay, I see.
That affects everything, right? Aerospace, construction, even green energy.
It's like material magic. You're not just building it with stuff, you're inventing the stuff itself.
Right. And that gets to something I think is really important, that feeling of, like, actually making a difference. Yeah, your job is solving these technical puzzles.
But those solutions, they actually matter out in the world.
Exactly.
It's that aha moment again, when something you helped design actually runs. You made something real, something that has an impact.
Like leaving your mark. You know?
Yeah.
For someone who's really curious, who loves figuring out how things work, that's got to be super rewarding.
It's more than just what you're doing, it's why you're doing it. And RoleCatcher does a great job giving you what you need to figure all that out.
They really do. They break down all those different specialties, even have advice on making your resume stand out, doing well in interviews, really practical stuff.
It's like having a whole career toolkit.
Totally. So we're wrapping up, but I want you to think about something. What if you could take your technical skills, get creative with them, and be okay with always learning new things?
Sounds like mechanical engineering technician could be a perfect fit.
Nailed it.
There you go, our deep dive into the world of mechanical engineering technicians. Don't forget, this is just the beginning. RoleCatcher has even more info, so check them out if you're serious. And hey, who knows, maybe someday you'll be designing robots, revolutionizing cars, or creating those crazy new materials. Until next time, keep those brains engaged and never stop exploring.